It might help if I actually have the actual thing up. I'm just going to go do my intro.
Yep.
Once lords. Welcome to Not Cyber Gaming. I am one of your hosts tonight, Seth. Tonight's a bit different. It's not about gaming. We're doing a podcast on Alita Battle Angel. We have Firehawk 8312, and we also have the incredibly annoying Sid. So for the next hour or so, or however long we decide to do it, it is all about Alita Battle Angel, what we thought of the movie, and everything that entails with that. So I'll bring in the other two now, and we'll go from there. You guys back?
Alright, we ready to go?
Yeah.
Alrighty. I'm gonna do the intro now. So, hello stream, if you're watching on the stream, welcome. If you watch this on the VOD, you actually won't hear this part previously, so have fun. Alright, let's do this. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nights of Cinema. I actually got the intro right. I am joined as always by my co-hosts, Seth and Sid.
Hello all.
I'll just cough and die here.
Yes, obviously you can probably tell by the name we will be talking about a film. Specifically, the idea is from, I guess, fortnight or weekly, I don't know yet, depends on how far our bank accounts go. We'll be talking about a film and or certain film news, and we will only be talking about one of each because we don't want to take forever to upload such videos, because it's going to be a pain in the ass, and you know, people don't like watching videos that are longer than an hour for some reason. Don't know why.
Because they have no attention to detail.
Probably. Now, I need everybody to understand some quick things before we actually get into what we're about to talk about. First of all, none of us are professional critics. We just enjoy movies. Please, take that. Take our opinions as the basic person. We don't know anything technical. We're probably not going to be talking about a lot of technical specs because we don't need to. They're irrelevant. They're pointless. We're just going to be talking about if the movie is good, if it is bad, and why we think so. This is all opinion-based. We can have different opinions to you, as much as that is heresy these days. So, Seth, do you want to lead us in to what we're going to be talking about tonight?
Tonight we're going to be talking about Alita Battle Angel. And about how good or bad the movie was. That is, as Hawk was saying, it's all up to personal opinion. Our opinions will differ from your guys, and our opinions will differ from each other's opinions, mostly.
Depending on the movie.
Yes. But in this case, I will say that they will differ a little bit.
Yes, as some of us like this movie a little more than others.
Some of us are in love with this movie. Let's just put that out there.
That's a bit of an understatement, I think, isn't it?
Just a fraction.
And the breakdown begins.
Alright, well, let's get into the plot overview. I'm probably not going to give this to Sid, because, Sid, how well do you know the plot?
Not much, actually. I just went and saw the film and enjoyed the film.
Okay, cool.
I know nothing about the manga side of it, really, the background of it, so that's all on you. You're the expert in this case.
Never call him an expert.
Yeah, so you take it away, and I'll jump in when I feel I've got something I can...
Alright, so the plot of the movie does differ from the manga for those of you who have read it or may be interested in reading it, but it doesn't differ a hell of a lot. Basically starts out the same. You meet Dr. Dyson Ito, who basically finds Alita underneath a giant floating city in what they call the scrapyard, where the city drops all of its crap. He proceeds to give her his deceased daughter's body, which you don't find out till later. By the way, spoilers on all of this coming up, but you should probably know that since we should have review in the title. After he does does the kind of body transplant and wakes her up. He finds that she is extremely old, but still alive, weirdly enough. And she seems to have forgotten practically everything. And one of the funniest things or scenes that they do this with is the orange scene. Now, if you haven't seen that, you want to go look it up. But she essentially doesn't remember anything, and Ito gives her orange, and she decides to bite straight into it like an apple. Needless to say, it's not very
Yes, I
fun
was
for her.
wondering about that when I first saw it.
Yeah, so in the story, she doesn't have any memory. She doesn't really know what's going on. She has basically been out of it for what we can tell 300 plus years.
Although you do notice that she has actual combat reflexes that just kind of
That's muscle memory, and that's something we will cover very shortly.
Yeah, that comes a little bit later.
Yeah,
So
it does.
we get to see Alita head off into town with Ito to basically learn about the city. Now, this is just before when Ito, sorry, gives her the name Alita of his deceased daughter, which we kind of see Nurse Gerhard kind of not so okay with, but Alita likes it, so they go with it, and then they wander off into town. Not long after that, they kind of head to a place where Alita can get some food, and she meets a small little dog, which I want to point out is one of the most adorable parts of the film.
Very true.
And she proceeds to meet a Centurion, which is Zalem, the Floating City's basic robotic enforcers, if you will. And as Sid mentioned before, she gets kind of into a combat stance to save the dog, because it just keeps walking, it doesn't give a shit about the dog and almost steps on it, and Alita goes to fight it. And this is where we meet Hugo. We don't know much about Hugo for an early part of this film, but what we do know is he seems like a genuine guy, and he ends up saving Alita, who nearly gets crushed by the Centurion, and then she in turn gets up and saves the dog again. And then we have a kind of meet cute moment where he admires Ito's work. A lot of people kind of found this scene a little cringy, but you know, welcome to relationships. They're cringy as shit. I heard a snigger back there.
Wasn't from me.
I was just thinking, yeah, that probably sounds about right, actually. Yeah, no, the detail of the film was really quite outstanding, I thought.
We'll get to some of the things we liked a little bit later, but not long after this, Alita decides to go out and kind of hang out with Hugo. We see a lot more of their relationship kind of starting to build, and we see Alita meet Hugo at a cafe where they're playing motorball, which is the fictional sport, which is amazing. They proceed to play motorball, and Alita gets knocked down by one of Hugo's friends, Tanji. She proceeds to get back up in a badass scene and absolute kick his ass with what seems to be incredible combat skills. So we'll jump ahead a little further because it kind of is a little pointless there. She hangs out with Hugo for a bit, sees Zalem, blah 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 blah. The part in that is just kind of set up. There's not a huge amount of detail that I really want to throw at you there.
Don't forget about the chocolate.
Yes, a very good scene and a memeable moment is when she first tastes chocolate, and a lot of the memes have been around her seeing oranges, then chocolate, and chocolate orange. But she really likes chocolate, and she gets back a little bit late, and Ito is, needless to say, a little annoyed. However, she has noticed Ito going out late of night.
Oh,
She's kind of...
He is kind of a little bit overprotective of her.
He definitely, especially in the start. And we find out that she figures out she thinks he's a murderer, but he's actually a hunter warrior. And she ends up following him through the streets. And a large ambush happens between the main, well, kind of the secondary antagonist, bit of both, Ruishka and Romo and Nyasia, I think it is how her name's pronounced. And Alita goes to stop him attacking them, and oh no, it's a trap. Ito kind of gets his ass handed to him, and this is where we see Alita in action, and she... Seth, can you explain how she deals with these people?
Long story short, through something that she can't control, she is able to actually fight them off in spectacular beauty.
It was an amazing fight scene.
It was.
It was really well done. They really scripted that beautifully. Really good choreographics there.
Take notes, directors. We don't need shaky cam ever. So not long after this, she kind of kicks her ass, sends Gruishka running, and she thinks, that was cool, I want to be a hunter warrior too. And Ito was like, no, I don't want you to be, because this shit's messed up. And she's like, well, screw you, I'm gonna do it anyway. She doesn't do it straight away. I believe she goes to the motorball track with Hugo first. If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It's been a little while. And so shortly after the fight, a couple days pass, and she heads to the motorball track with Hugo, and you watch Jashigan, Claymore, Crimson Wind.
Sorry, you guys just cut off there for a bit.
Well, we'll still be good on the recording, so.
Yeah, we're still good.
Okay, because it was just dead silence there, so.
And a few other motorballers fighting for their actual win. And we see Alita getting very excited, and we actually see Jashigan up close, who is played by a famous actor that I cannot remember the name of, but oh well. Hugo ends up running off, and we don't quite know why Hugo's running off, till a bit later. Because we switch back to the race watching Kanuba win, the guy with the grind cutters, terrifying new weapon. It's all fun. Proceed to cut to him walking out of the Kansas bar, have him get jumped by a bunch of cyborg jackers, and we find out, oh no, it's Hugo. He's helping out Vector, who was a character we were introduced before, and he's basically a bad guy. He's a mob boss for all intents and purposes. And it kind of devolves from there, resulting in Alita becoming a hunter warrior, her beating down an entire bar, having a large fight with Grishka, and getting her doll body destroyed. She kind of had found a body before that, the Berserker body. The Berserker, which is the United Mars Republic?
I think so.
No, United Republic of Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just said it round the wrong way.
Yeah. She finds that in an earlier scene, and she ends up getting put in that because they don't have a choice. And so she goes back to motorball. She goes to actually play in motorball. And turns out, oh no, they're all trying to kill her because Destiny Nova's involved and he's the bad guy. He's basically controlling everything behind the scenes, and he's the one who set Gruishka up to get stronger to kill Alita, but she kind of survived. We see, not long after that Zapan, one of the bounty hunters we earlier meet, end up kind of screwing with Alita because she broke his nose in a hilarious scene, I want to point out. He was not very happy, so he ends up killing a cyborg they were jacking, and Tanji, unfortunately, in his last act, actually being a good guy instead of being a detestable dick. Then Zapan chases Hugo around for a while, end up almost killing him. Alita, in the middle of a motorball race, decides, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave the arena, and they chase him, which Screwhead, and I can't remember the other one is. Also, shout out to Screwhead, who is actually, the actress is actually in a Facebook group I'm a part of. You are awesome. Just want to put that out there. Thank you.
So basically, she goes to rescue him.
Yeah, she goes to rescue him in her motorball outfit. She's still in the Berserker body, she's just got the motorball legs on. Zapan is there, obviously, because they end up meeting at the church where Zapan chases him to. And he is severely wounded at this point. Zapan basically just stabs him with the Damascus blade, and Alita kind of almost kills him straight up. We see Shirin, Shirin? I think it's Shirin. A doctor who used to be Ito's wife, who we met again earlier. I'm just kind of getting as fast as I can through the plot so that we don't have too long on the plot and too many spoilers. Ends up saving Hugo's life by actually connecting his head to her heart, well, or her cybercore, if you will. And the Centurions are like, oh, okay, yeah, no, you killed him. And Zapan's like, what? And he sees the deception, and the Centurions get mad, so Alita cuts his face off.
Couldn't happen to a prettier boy.
I know, right? It's actually a setup for the Zapan arc, which I'm excited for if we get a second one.
So, Sid knows what a pretty boy looks like.
Well, the guy really puts it on. Like, He's all about all his face all being whatever, pretty and all that.
He is very vain, is the words you're looking for.
Yeah, that's it's like overkill thing.
He then proceeds to, or she then proceeds to leave, and basically they get Hugo a new body, and Alita ends up going on a little bit of a rampage. She walks into the Hunter Warrior, the factory where they hand in their bounties, and basically killing every single Centurion in there in a, again, wonderfully choreographed scene. It is pretty as hell.
It is amazing.
We then cut to Vector's office, who Sheeran had just been in, and all of a sudden isn't. And we see Alita arrive, intent on getting answers from Nova. She then proceeds to murder Gruishka in easy fashion, because pissed Alita in a berserker body is not a fun thing, and then she kills... No, not Nova, Vector. Vector's the word.
I'm actually forgetting she gets the Damascus blade off.
She
Pretty
does
Boy.
take Zapan's Damascus blade.
Yeah.
We end up also seeing Sheeran, who has been sent to Zalem, which has been her goal all along. Unfortunately, it's not the way she wanted. She's in bits in a very disturbing scene with moving eyeballs and everything. It's mildly worrying. She then kind of has a chat with Nova and says, "Yo, I'm a kick your ass," and he's just kind of like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm Destiny Nova. What are you gonna do?" Moving along, Nova kind of reveals that Hugo is trying to do something very, very stupid. It's not Nova, it's Ito, isn't it? Ito tells her.
Yeah.
He is climbing the supply pipes to Zalem, which is an actual crime against Zalem, and that's a bad idea. She eventually catches up to him and says, "Hey, look, come back down with me." And he's like, "No, we're gonna be on the run." And she says, "But we can be together." And he's like, "Okay, fine, I'll come down." There's a lot more emotional weight to this scene than I'm actually giving it. This is a pretty heavy scene. However, what he doesn't know is Nova decides to drop one of the defense rings, which is a giant ring on this pipe that spins and is full of, what would you say, about a story-wide blades?
Yep.
Alita manages to jump the blades. Hugo not so much. Alita manages to catch him from falling from the side by driving the Damascus blade into the side of the pipe and holding him. And unfortunately, his arm starts to break off, because at this point he's a cyborg. And when we kind of get to watch Alita realize that this is the end, and it is a little bit heartbreaking, to be honest with you. I don't know how you guys felt about that scene, but that scene is heartbreaking as hell.
He just falls to his death by the looks of it.
I mean, more the look on Alita's face.
Yeah, I think she gets really determined at that point to go after that guy.
We then see the next and final scenes, which is her in her full, I believe it's pronounced Westerg, but please correct me in the comments, but also known as her motorball body. She has a Damascus blade, and she cuts a tear in half, which is a really cool visual, and manages to roll out. And we see her kind of pointing her Damascus blade with the plasma all lit up at Zalem. And finally, we see Destiny Nova, played by Edward Norton, take his glasses off, setting us up for a sequel. That is the rough plot overview. It only took me 20 minutes to do that, Jesus Christ. Let's get into the issues we may have had. So, Seth, if you want to go first.
No, the floor is all yours.
Well, I do have one major issue with it, and it's not much I can really worry about, simply because it is just the pacing of it's a little bit too fast. If I had to point out a problem, I would say that the pacing is a little bit too fast.
I think so. I mean, it did seem a little bit short on time. They could have expanded some of the scenes a little bit to give a bit more clarity to the actual overall scene, if you know what I mean.
I hope there is a director's cut that does come out that does put some deleted scenes back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there was quite a few that they took out. Maybe it was due to time issues or something.
I don't think it was necessarily due to time. I believe that they didn't want to make the movie too long for a new IP.
Yeah.
True. And also they wanted to set it up for a second or third film to come out as well.
Well, I do believe that Cameron and Rodriguez are happy to do sequels.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, it really does look like they were setting up for another film.
Oh, they 100% were. Seth, what problems do you have, since we've all basically gone, unless Sid has any more?
Not really. I can't really think of much wrong with it, other than it was just a little bit too short. Some areas just needed to be expanded on.
Right, you guys have hit it on the nail on some of the things that I did find wrong with the movie. Like, yeah, it was rushed. Not the production of the movie, but the actual storyline. For me, it felt going from first being put together to being completely disassembled to having a new body to remembering pretty much everything of your past. It was like basically thrust upon you within the space of half an hour, 40 minutes.
Unlike, I think, something like the Last Jedi, not the Last Jedi, the Force Awakens, the rushing, it explained enough that you could kind of give it a pass. It still isn't great, but you could give it more of a pass than you could say the Force Awakens.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's just, again, my opinion on that one. But yeah, you're right. It felt a little bit rushed. I don't think they should have done as many arcs as they decided to do.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. It's like, I don't have an issue with multiple story arcs itself, but when it comes to the point where it's story arc on top of story arc on top of story arc, then you got another story arc underneath all of that in a short space of time, that's when the issue for me come into play.
Yeah, I think in a sequel that hopefully should be addressed, because we can get a bit more of a streamlined story of her going after Destiny.
Yeah.
Well, from what I understand, he took references out of was it 2 or 3 of the.
He took parts of her first arc, which is like the Hunter Warrior arc, the Motorball arc, and the other. There was another arc that they took inspiration from.
At least 3 to 4 arcs they took out of the whole. Was it manga series?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how many, but there was at least 3 or 4 arcs going on there, and they're just sort of combining them together. And I think they did leave some parts out that would have made a lot more sense, and joining those arcs together. But like you said, hopefully they would bring in some of the deleted scenes that would fill in those gaps.
So, do we have anything else wrong that we found with the film, or shall we move on to our next one?
I don't think so. I mean, the soundtrack was really good. The choreography was really good. A lot of the fight scenes were outstanding. I suppose you could say the love story side of it was okay, but a
lot of people had issues with that. But I want to point out that Alita is around 17 to 18, and Hugo isn't much older.
Yes, but she's also like 300 years old too.
I just want to point out that when you were a teenager, last time I checked, you were cringy AF, just like every other teenager out there.
I guess weren't we all?
Yeah, they try to accurately represent a young adult's first foray into romance. It's not gonna be particularly
pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that makes it
never is
all the more interesting, I guess, with the storylines and that. Hey.
Well, it adds a bit of authenticity, in my opinion. So we'll move on to things we liked. Sid's kind of vomited all of he likes already. Seth, what did you enjoy about the film?
What I enjoyed about the film, especially literally the first thing, because it was sort of a... I know you're going to disagree with me on this one, but it was sort of a throwback to an old movie that I used to like, Real Steel. How he was found in the dump and then brought basically back to life and gone from there, if you've actually seen the movie.
I have not, but we can put that in as a later episode.
Yeah.
I know what he's referencing to, and yes, you're right. There are similarities to it.
Yeah. It's a Hugh Jackman film.
Yeah, it's not bad if you like fighting robots, but we're not talking about that one, so
no, but
what you like?
Hey, you asked me what I liked, and it was a throwback to that movie. Might as well go off the verbal spiel that Sid's done. It's like the fight scenes are really great. The dialogue between all characters was really good, was on point. Like, you could actually follow the storyline, even, as I said, it was rushed, but you could still follow through the entire storyline and actually get that emotional attachment and bond to the movie. Part of you felt like you were actually there witnessing it as it was happening.
Now, I'm going to echo a fair chunk of what they've said here. The fight scenes, again, brilliant. No shaky cam. I could see everything that happened. The choreography was brilliant. I believe Rosa Salazar, the actress who plays Alita, took a large portion of martial arts classes to help learn a lot of what she had to do, which was fantastic. So the scene you actually see her kick the guy down in the bar is her actually doing it.
And not a CGI scene.
Not a CGI scene. I also want to give props to Alita herself now. I've recently started reading the manga, and she is on point as a character, just character design. Weta, who did the CGI work for her and basically everything on the film, did an amazing job. It looks so good.
Represent New Zealand.
Yeah, hats off to Weta. Please make all of the films. I never want you to stop.
Then you should enjoy Lord of the Rings.
That's not Cameron or Weta. Did Weta help on
Yeah,
that?
Weta was big.
Weta was a big.
That was basically
awesome, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and there was a bit. That basically how Weta was really formed was the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, no, please never stop working on films, and please never stop working with James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez, because believe it or not, Robert Rodriguez wrote that script for free, and he did a fantastic job. Like, the two of them combined to create just an amazing movie. It's one of the few movies I've walked into a cinema being like, oh, I'll go watch a movie. This looks good. And coming out being like, this is everything I ever wanted it to be, and more.
Well, James Cameron has really has always outdone himself. I mean, with the first Aliens film that was ever produced in the 90s.
That was Ridley Scott, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Cameron did Titanic, Avatar.
Yeah.
And I believe he's making a sequel. Now, we're going to move on to the final part of this podcast, but I'm going to put something in really quickly. Those of you who are worried about whether we're going to get a sequel or not, it basically comes down to Cameron. Now, it has done reasonably well, better than anybody anticipated it would do. It got hit by the Captain Marvel drop, but that was always expected. It's a Marvel film. Marvel films, unfortunately, knock out a lot of the smaller films that could be fantastic. It's possible. Never give up hope. We got a sequel to Pacific Rim, is all I can say on that one. Is there anything you guys want to say on the sequel?
I'm hoping that it does actually come out, but I'm hoping that the sequel's not going to ruin the first movie.
As long as Cameron and Rodriguez are involved again, because you can't really cast anybody but Rosa Salazar for Alita or Ed Skine for Zapan and so on and stuff. Like, you need to cast the same actors, so we assume they don't change, but yeah. If those two stay on as kind of the head visionaries of it, I believe it'll be fine.
And how well it did at the box office, this is up to 9 hours ago, 380 million worldwide.
Well, they still haven't counted China in that. We're anticipating around a 400 plus mil.
Yeah.
Because we don't get China's results in for quite a while.
No.
And from what we can tell, it puts us over the minimum for a sequel.
Yeah.
The problem is Fox is getting bought by Disney, and we don't know what's going to happen with that, even though I believe Cameron holds the actual rights to the film.
Yeah.
So it looks promising. You probably, what do you estimate? A new sequel in what? Another 2 years?
So the thing is Cameron will be making the film again, and he's a perfectionist, and I love that about him. But it'll be 5 to 10 at least.
Yeah.
You reckon 5 to 10 years?
For sure.
Yeah. You're looking minimum 2026 minimum.
Yep. It's as simple as that. If they get it done before that, I'll be surprised.
It's a pity, but yes, with this level of detail and how they did the scripts, then yes, I can believe that. And it'll be worth the wait too.
So we'll move on to the last part. Any final thoughts now? I'll put mine first to be an absolute prick, because I can. just want to point out, go watch the film. You're not really going to get a chance now, which is unfortunate, but go watch it. Go rent it online when it comes out. Just go have a look at it. Please don't pirate it. Just don't pirate any movies. It's kind of a shitty thing to do unless you literally don't have a film around you. You know what I mean? But yeah, just...
And it is still available to watch in New Zealand as well.
I believe it is like for another couple days in Australia as well. I believe it's dropped out of America, or it might still be playing a few cinemas. If you're in China, you still have a week and a half, I believe.
Well, I think it actually finishes up this Thursday.
No, it's still going on until at least the 19th of March.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, so a good week and a half then.
Now,
minimum.
Yeah, which is not too bad for a film because a lot
it's
of them
very good.
A lot of them will disappear after 3 weeks.
Especially a new IP. I'll also add another little thing that I want everybody to actually hear is there's a lot of political discourse surrounding the Captain Marvel vs. Alita. With this, is this pro-feminism? Is this not feminism? Is anti... Guys, for all of those who are worried about that or thinking about that or following either of those doctrines, and I need you to listen very closely to this part. Turn me up. They're fucking action movies. Stop thinking so hard about them. It's like you took the Expendables and decided to make an ethos out of it. Don't. Enjoy the movie. Don't worry about the tiny, tiny pointless subtext that the movie probably doesn't contain. Seth, you're up. What are your final thoughts?
You pretty much covered everything in my final thoughts. Yes, like I said, bring on sequel. Let's just hope it doesn't ruin the first one. Which it shouldn't because it is directed by James Cameron.
Right,
also, I am...
Oh, no,
you mother.
Sorry.
Also, yeah. It's still available in New Zealand to go watch. So, if you're in New Zealand watching this, do go. I do recommend going and seeing it. Some people say, and this is a direct quote from some people, the movie changed my life. I personally... It didn't change my life, but everyone is different. But if they continue to make movies like this caliber, this sort of storyline, doesn't have to be this genre of movie, keep making movies at this level. That's what I want to see.
I cannot agree more with you. I don't care what the movie is, just keep making good movies.
Yeah.
So, and that comes down to having a really good script and really good actors and directors too.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into a film. It's not just one person.
No, never is.
The one thing with this particular film, I think it is worth actually watching it more than once because there are a lot of little things that you don't necessarily pick up first time watching it.
Especially if you go back and read the manga and you go watch it again, there's so many things you can see.
True. But even if you don't read the manga and you go watch it a second time, you'll pick up a lot of new subtleties that you didn't really realise were actually there. And yeah, I just think it's one of those ones that's worth watching more than once.
Alright guys, I believe that is us. So before we wrap up, if you wish to follow anything about the film, it is on Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow Rosa Salazar, Ed Skine, James Cameron, or Robert Rodriguez. I can't quite remember Hugo's actor, but he will be linked if you just Google it and have a look if you wish to know more about the film. And the novelization, I can confirm, is also pretty good if you don't quite enjoy movies. However, this is it for us, I believe. Seth, do you want to hit us with the outro?
As always. And the actor that plays Hugo is Ken Johnson.
That guy. A lot of people didn't like his performance, but I believe they were wrong. So, anyway, hit us with that outro.
Right. As always, do like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell like you're hitting Sid in the head. And as always, don't lend out your car and don't lend out your wife. See yous.